Everyone, my name is Juliet Fitzpatrick, and I wrote a culture and politics honors thesis titled Like I Was Freaking Mother Teresa, Volunteer Tourism in India Through the Medium of Self-Representation on Instagram. This study is concerned with volunteer tourism or voluntourism through social media, namely Instagram, in India. And this project was created through two distinct but complementary methodologies, starting with a process of collecting about 101 Instagram screenshots displaying the type of behavior that I was trying to study, which is this type of classic photo in which there's typically a white woman with a non-white child, and the way that sort of plays out on Instagram. And so I collected lots of these images as well as other images that showed volunteer tourism activities to see the prevalence of these different types of behavior, which I then hand coded through 38 variables that looked at both the image and the caption. And the second part of the project was also the interviews, a series of 8 in-depth, semi-structured interviews with former volunteer tourists between the ages of 18 and 26 who had volunteered in India for less than 6 weeks. So moving on to sort of how this project came about, it's actually kind of been in the works for a few years, considering the fact that I took a gap year before college. I went to India for 6 weeks of that whole year and was practicing pretty much volunteer tourism. And I was very much into the idea of helping. And I think that was a narrative that continued to come up throughout the project as this whole wanting to help aspect and wanting to give back when you are in an economically privileged situation, but also why did I feel the right to help or the right to be involved in this kind of project? And similarly, I continued to view my social media usage as potentially problematic for the type of reach that it has, the permanence of the internet. The research process has been really interesting. Through the help of 2 great advisors, Professor Arjun Shankar, who is a new culture and politics professor, as well as with Professor Diana Owen, who has advised CULP theses in the past and is in the communications, culture, and technology grad program professor. And she was extremely helpful in the IRB process because initially I really wanted to talk to as many volunteers as I could. Understanding my experience, I thought that would be really important to just get other people's view of it. And so that was a major aspect of the first part of my research, was just getting that approval and going back and forth. Professor Owen formerly served on the IRB board, so she had a lot of really great insight for getting that passed through. She was also integral in helping me create the kind of coding scheme that I was looking at for the Instagram photos. I wanted to have a way to tangibly look at all of the photos together. I think it's all we're used to seeing on their Instagram feeds, but having the ability to analyze them across these different metrics was really important. And what you can interpret from some of these questions has to do with the degree to which they wanted to center themselves in these narratives. And that's extremely important because as we go on and as we look at how identity is formed on the internet through this specific generation's attachment to Instagram, it's important to see that, of course, you're going to be the main character of your own Instagram feed, but to the degree that you represent others, as I argue throughout the thesis, the main takeaway should be that people were being used as props in this overall experience to show that this was the white savior, this was the main person that we should be concerned about, this is the person who deserves the moral superiority. I did come to this research not wanting to pass any judgment, knowing my own background. Getting enough volunteers was a lot of recruiting on Facebook groups, any sort of medium I could find that emphasized also the social media nature of the entire thesis. Really proud of the type of original research and methodology I was able to employ. I think interviewing was really good for me to learn different skills, and coding was something I was pretty new at, and it's still a pretty rudimentary scheme, but I think it's important to ask these kind of questions and to really interrogate the images and see what we're seeing through the images and captions as well, and make sure that this isn't just sort of an unconscious effect we're seeing. It's really something we're looking at and giving a lot of attention to, even though our social media behavior hasn't been really analyzed to this degree yet. And I am very thankful to everyone who's helped me throughout the process. Thank you so much.